Okay, welcome to the Harrier cockpit. Those of you that flew in the last TLP practice mission will recognise this. This is the sortie where we hit the railway station at Caen. We struck the bridges and the troops. On this one, we'll just fly a single ship Harrier. I removed the F5s and I set my target to be the troops at the MPF 4 there, which is in the land between all the bridges. And there should be troops on the ground somewhere among the trees there. I'll be taking 4 cluster bombs up and trying to hit those on a time on target. As far as the time on target goes, I've got a nav card in the briefing pack here. And I've set my time on target. I've given myself a bracket, 0945 to 0949. That would be a bracket big enough to get a 4-ship through if you needed 30 seconds between each individual aircraft. You'd want a little bit of a buffer either side, and you obviously want a buffer for any aircraft that are coming before you or aircraft that are coming after your formation. So normally in 1 minute in. That way if you're a little bit early, you're not going to infringe on someone else's time on target or bulk their attack. So 0946 is when I plan for my bombs to go off on the target. And then my wingman might be 30 seconds later, and then number 3 a minute after me, number 4 a minute 30 after me, sort of thing, and so on. So that's our TOT, and then we work back from that. So I've added 15 seconds to actually complete my pop attack and get the bombs off. So I've got an 0944.33 at the initial point there, if you can just about read that. And then we work back. Got a number of turns I need to allow for the turns. DCS mission editor doesn't. You arrive at a point and you depart the same point on a different heading, which obviously it doesn't work like that in sim or in real life. So in real life we would measure the curve and you'd actually mark the seconds around it, and then your exit line would reflect the fact that you had a turn radius. We don't have that. So I've estimated 90 is about 15 seconds to make that turn. And I factor that into the timing. So that's why you've got a time of arrival at some of these. For example, waypoint 1 Spit in the River, we arrive at 0927.25 and we leave at 0927.40. So that's at 50 seconds to allow for that 90-degree turn, and then we head on up towards the church. Ultimately, that takes us back. We're going to depart, standard departure, and off I'm hitting a hold. So I want to hit the hold. So I can leave my my nominal point in the sky 37.2 miles away from my low level entry point at 0922.10. I will leave at 0922.10 and fly at Mach 0.7 or 420 knots at 7 miles a minute. I'll hit my low level entry point at 0927.25 and I'll be on time. If I'm a little bit off, then I'm going to have to make corrections, and I'll talk about that in a second. So to make that, I've got a takeoff time. I've got a takeoff time at 09:10. It might not be perfect for me. It's going to mean I'm going to have to hold for about 6 or 7 minutes. You might need to hold longer than that. If there's lots of aircraft to get airborne, it's going to take time to get those aircraft taxied out, armed up, and airborne. So you might get a takeoff time, but it's important that you make that. To make the takeoff time, you get a taxi time, and it's important again that you make your taxi time. So that you all taxi in order, because if you taxi in front of someone who needs to be airborne ahead of you, that might cause a problem. Then you might get them airborne late, which then means they can't make their time on target. So everything is done to time now. So I've got an engine start time at 08:55, which is in about 6 minutes time, and the mission started when I pressed fly at 08:45 in game. Local time is the same as Zulu time at the moment on this map with the date I've got set, so that's quite handy. And that's all we have to say for that. General principle and time on target. There is a rule of thumb that I'll talk about. I'll talk about it when I'm in the air. It's on the nav cart there. But generally, what we want to do, we want to plan to make a time on target easier. So if we look at our route, we get airborne. We head out towards waypoint 1 stroke waypoint 9 are the same, just on the River Seine, and then we roughly turn through 90 degrees to the right towards waypoint 2. I'm going to make that first waypoint. I'm going to fly over the point in the river, and that would be a good little entry point. That would be good nav fix point if I needed to do an on-top fix to fix my navigation kit. So I'm going to plan to fly over that, and I'll note how early or late I am, and then I'll aim to correct it. Because I planned for 90-degree turn from 1 to 2 to 3, and I planned for a 90-degree turn from 2 to 3 to 4, and from 3 to 4 to 5, for each of those 90-degree turns, I'm able to make a turn on time, and that will fix my errors. So just to explain that a bit further, if I draw that line from 1 to 2 or from 9 to 2, I'll extend it. It's roughly an arc from waypoint 3. So anywhere along that line is going to be roughly the same distance from waypoint 3 as waypoint 2 is. So if I've got a planned time and I was at 2 at that planned time and went to 3, I'll be on time. Then as long as I turn off that arc at that time, I'll be very, very close when I arrive at waypoint 3 to when I planned to arrive at waypoint 3. Obviously, if I'm running late, I'm going to be turning shy of the waypoint, and if I'm running early, I'm going to extend past waypoint 2 and then turn on time to arrive at waypoint 3. Those corrections are good for small errors, and by small errors, if you have a very long lag like this, we could probably fix a minute or even 2 minutes. If you had a short lag, say from 3 to 4, you'd probably only fix around about 30 seconds by using this method. If it's a larger error than that, then you would have to fudge that turn a little bit, because obviously you're not actually on the arc. The arc's going to be moving further and further away from the route line that you're actually flying. So that's a general principle on time on target. So I'll explain what my thought processes are in the air, and whether I'm going to be turning shy of the point or past the point, and the times that I'm going to turn. Otherwise, all I need to do is I need to fly at 420 knots if I'm at low level, or Mach 0.7 at medium level. That's 7 nautical miles a minute. So every minute, I move another 7 miles, or I'll cover a mile in 7 to 8 seconds, and just hold that, and then I can just look out the window and fly, and my timing should sort themselves out because I planned for it, because I planned these 90-degree turns. From waypoint 4 to 5 to 6, it's going to be quite compressed in there. Waypoint 5 is my initial point, and it's just over a minute to the target. And waypoint 4 to waypoint 5 is quite short as well. So I need to sort my timing out on these earlier legs. And then as long as I'm in the bracket, once I get inbound to waypoint 5, and certainly from 5 to 6, the only thing I'm concentrating on is flying an accurate attack according to what I planned. So my bombs will work so I can hit the target. And the exit, once we're off target, we're not really worried about time on target and our time on the turn points, unless you're aiming to RV with somebody else. You might worry about recovery times if you had recovery times, but generally then you would cop in their hold and just orbit until it's your time to recover. So that's time on target. We've got about 3 minutes left before I go engine start, so I'll speak to you once we've got the engine started, and I'm just about to taxi.
Generator. Stop, failure. Stop, caution. Caution.
Okay, so welcome back to the cockpit. So we've got a taxi time at 0903. We've got 2 clocks in the Harrier. I've got a clock just down by the side there, an analog, and I've got a digital in the bottom of the HUD, which is the one I'll probably refer to most. I've also got a stopwatch, which I'll probably not use, but it is useful to have one to know how to use it. If you're going to say parallel track, if you have to evade because of a threat, then that could be very, very useful. So we've got the wing chocks removed.
Chief, remove the wheel chocks.
And we're taxiing at 03.
Copy. Wheel chocks are now removed.
Just make sure our wingmen are ready. We haven't got any today, unfortunately. We're on our own. but you would want to make sure they're ready. If they weren't, they really should call you probably a minute prior to give you an estimate on how delayed they're likely to be. That then lets you coordinate with other formations. Okay, Milan 13 single ship taxi. Time takeoff, minutes 10. While we're taxiing, let's talk about how I've set the Harrier up here. It is a great aircraft ground attack. There's a few bugs at the moment, which as far as I'm aware they have fixed, just waiting for this 2.9 patch to be able to release them. So at the top of the heading tape there, you'll see 270. That's my heading for my waypoint set, which is waypoint 10. You can see on the HUD 15.1 miles away. The number will be correct, but its position on the heading tape is often wrong. So maybe right up my nose and it's actually still showing left. That's just a fault as is. Waypoint 6 is my target waypoint. I've set it as bullseye, so once I'm airborne you'll see bottom left of my HUD, you'll see a bullseye readout towards target. That's useful to have because that's the most important waypoint in the kit, and it always gives me a reference to that. And also if AWACS makes threat calls, I've got a bullseye readout. So try and have a plan so you've got that somewhere in your kit that you can make sense of. I've also set up the route, so on my EHSD you'll see there's a pink line there. That runs waypoint 10, then 136 to the target, and then there's a slightly different colour to run outbound. But that just helps me see where it is on the map, see what I've got coming up. I'll do a 50-degree nozzle takeoff for just dry power with auto flaps, and I've set my nozzle rotation speed to 129, which I've taken off the computer in the aircraft. As far as taxi times, they're often done as a group, part of the group plan for all the different formations, so they are coordinated. They should give you a little bit of time to get to the whole point, get any weapons arming checks done, etc., and to let you get onto the runway and lined up. Don't underestimate how long it takes to get 4 or 6 aircraft lined up onto a runway and get everybody ready for takeoff before the leader rolls. It probably takes a little bit longer than you think. Okay, we've got 4 minutes to take off, so I'll see you in a couple of minutes. Okay, so takeoff is at 0910, which is in 2 minutes now. So we'll close the canopy. Get our eject seat live. Land 13, takeoff minute 10. And we get ourselves lined up on the runway. Okay, heading about 280, so we'll be turning right after takeoff up towards our departure point. 360 knots, and timing is takeoff at 10. I'll talk about that check once I'm airborne and we're up on the hold. That's the hat check. Down the runway, master arm comes live. Gonna select combat because we need to get rid of the stores with an emergency on takeoff. First 1 minute for takeoff. I'll be looking at my wingman, looking for a thumbs up from them at this point to make sure they're ready. For a 4 ship, probably 40 seconds to run, you might want to start winding up. So you get the thumbs up from the back, certainly 30 seconds, you want to be doing that as a singleton. 10 seconds to run is probably okay to go full power or start winding the engine up. Yeah, brakes off. To 50. Airborne, gear. Nozzle diet, flap set to auto. Coming back to less than 1.103.5. Going nav, deselecting jettison. Standard departure here, so looking for this railway line. Now once we're approaching the railway line, we can turn out to the right towards waypoint 10 on my kit, but towards the lakes to our northwest. Climb to 3,000 feet initially and 360 knots. Okay, so we're running up towards our departure point, and then we're going to climb up into a hold. We're going to hold at 360 knots and Mach 0.6. Generally use indicated or true airspeed at low level and use Mach number at anything above about 10,000 feet. 360 knots, 6 miles a minute low level. Mach 0.6 is 6 miles a minute if you're above 10 to 15. So it keeps your math simple. Once we're en route, we'll be running at 420 Mach 0.7. Will be our speeds to worry about. What we want to do is establish ourselves in a hold, and we're looking for our push point is 37.2 miles away from the little entry point. I want to be inbound to that point heading 251. So we can make our holds whatever shape or size we want. I tend to fly oval caps. It's what I was used to flying air defense fighters. And we'd fly a 6-minute cap, so 2 gentle 90s. You normally fly as a pair, so you would check each other's 6 halfway round, so 90 degrees, check the dead wing, then another 90. That would take a minute, 2 of those 2 minutes, and then your legs would be 2 minutes, and that would make up a 6-minute cap. It'd make more sense when I fly it. So we're up into the climb, and we'll just establish ourselves. Cycle to waypoint 1, let's say we're looking for 37.2. Heading 251, so we're not far off that, so I'm going to turn out cold. If we want to head inbound 251, we're going to head outbound 071. We'll turn in and we'll see what timing we need to adjust, and then we'll fly one more orbit. Okay, so that's heading 246 towards the target. We wanted to be 251, so I'll just come a little bit left just to so we can correct ourselves back to the right point in space. At 37.2, we want to be pushing at 2210. So we're probably going to be, I don't know, 5 minutes to go, something like that. We don't need to be exact, so don't sweat the seconds as far as calculations go, because we can very easily correct them, as I'll show you once we're actually en route. Basically, I'm going to fly to 37.2, see what time we have left, and then I'm going to turn cold, and at half that time left I'm going to turn hot again. So that'll put the cold leg and the hot leg the same size. So it's going to be 22, 10, about 440. So a little bit late turning cold, so 2 minutes to go, we'll turn hot. We'll see how that works. So we'll turn hot at 2010. 20 minutes 10 seconds. We'll try and fly at 0.6 both ways. Once you get past the push point, we're going to accelerate to 420 Mach 0.7. I'll show you a low level entry. It's kind of American style, Canadian style, but it's fairly steep descent. We'll hold 30 degrees nose down till we get to half the dive angle in feet, so 1500 feet, and then we'll raise it to 20 degrees nose down, hold that till we get half the dive angle, 1000 feet, and then we'll raise it 10 degrees nose down, hold that until we get to 500 feet. We do need to have the red alto on. The red alto needs to be reading once we get there to obviously to be able to use it. It's just a way to rapidly get into low level. Whatever errors we have here, we'll carry into our first leg, and we'll sort them out in the first leg. If by some miracle we're on time, then I'll put myself late or early. I'll put myself late by making a turn. Okay, so turning at 20 and 10. And turning there, we'll try and hold 0.6. Point at our waypoint. And then if you remember, we want to be pushing from 37.2 miles away from entry point at 2210. If I've done my sums correct on the ground. We're at 6 miles a minute, so 43.2 miles. We would want to be a minute out, so 21 and 10. So that'll be a good way to get a rough idea if you're on time or not. So I think we're going to be a little bit late. So we'll just accelerate to 0.7 for a little bit, just to take out some of that error. Okay, so 2210 is why we want to push in. We're a little bit late, but that's fine. We get to 37.2, then we'll descend to low level. So we're currently running 22 seconds late. Okay, 30 degrees nose down. I'm going to go idle, speed brakes, keep our speed a little bit under control. Holding 30 until we get to 1500 feet. Radar's reading, train's quite flat, that's fine. Alright, there's a bit of a hill there, so I'm going to go a little bit early at 2000. Going to 20 to 10. 10 to 500 feet, down low level. Right, running towards our nav point. I'm going to try and set a power that's going to hold 420. So I'm expecting that to be about 93-ish. But we'll see. We'll see what gives us 420. I'm running towards our nav point. Ideally at this nav point I want to arrive there at 27.25. But I am going to fly over the waypoint and we'll just note. So I had checks. Heading, make sure we're inbound towards the right waypoint. We've got waypoint at one set, 29.6 miles out. Airspeed, we're flying at 423, so let's try 93.1%. If I get 92.9, let's try that. See how that holds. And time, we noted there, 27.25. So we've got 4 or 5 minutes here where we can look out. We can fence in, so we go air to ground master mode. We're going to select our weapons. We're going to select them in CCIP. Make sure they're fused. Drop all 4 in one pass. There's a bug on the Harrier at the moment where you can't set an interval up. The subsequent ones won't come off, unfortunately. I got my jammer. I put it on standby. Flares are on auto, and the RWR is turned on. And we've been hearing stuff. As we approach the waypoint then, on this one we could do an on-top fix if we wanted to fix our kit. We'll at least check that it's showing roughly right. 92.9 is too much, so let's do 92.8. Let it settle down again. And then once you leave the waypoint, you do a post-waypoint hat check. So make sure you're on the right heading, make sure your airspeed is something sensible. You might have lost some in the turn. We'll try to anticipate that by adding power in the turn and then taking it off again. And then checking the time, making a note of how early or late you were. And your subsequent plan for the next waypoint and what time you're looking for it. Sometimes you may make a plan to turn early late, you may not be able to because there might be a SAM in the way or an avoid in the way. So it's good to have a plan. And plan early. So just a reminder there, we're looking for the spit in the river. Ideally we want to be there at 27.25. We think we're running a little bit late, but we'll see. Speed is holding close, that's trying to 1.7. Come on. There you go. You can check approaching the waypoint if you want 7 miles out. We're doing 7 miles a minute, so 7 miles out would be 26.25. Okay, so there's 26.25 and we're still a little bit further 7. So we are running slightly late. Just 7 miles, so running 35 seconds late. So we could correct that on this turn if we wanted to. or some of that by turning early. But we'll fly the waypoint and we'll try and correct it on the next one. Here's my turn time. Okay, there's my waypoint, just on the spit of land, sucked into my next waypoint. 2725 is what we were looking for. Okay, and they're on the minute, so we're 35 seconds late. So we're going to turn on time at the next waypoint, and we're going to be short of the waypoint when we turn. Heading for the next waypoint, got waypoint 2 set, 24.0 miles to run. Setting about 91 point something once we get there at 420. 91.5, somewhere thereabouts, 92. And our next waypoint is the church at 0931.16. We're going to be about 35 seconds short. So we're going to be turning on about 4 miles short of it. But we're going to turn at our time of 31.16. And all we need to do is try and fly as accurately as we can. And look out. Check our wingman 6. Check the rest of the formation. Coordinate with the other pairs. Listen to what's going on from AWACS. All that good stuff. And we don't need to worry about the navigation until we're getting approaching about 4 miles to our target. So this is our first major correction, trying to correct 35 seconds. Do have a little bit of wind on the server. I'm not really taking it into account. I do have a ground speed down the bottom left of my HUD there. I'm not using that. Some of the aircraft don't have it. It'll have obviously some effect, but not a huge effect, and we can take any errors out on the turns, and I've kind of planned to be able to do that. So I'm going to try and fly at 420 as best as possible. It will make it easiest for my wingmen to fly up my wing. So that's what we're going to fly, and then I'm going to be correcting any timing errors with the geometry turn. Okay, so 10 miles to run. Just to remind us, we're turning at 31.16, and we're probably going to be turning short. And we're expecting to turn to left. And our waypoint is up on this high ground ahead, the other side of the river valley. And I expect them to turn probably short of it, 4 miles or so. But 31.16 is our turn time. So I'm cycling to our next waypoint. There's my turn time. Okay, heading for waypoint 3, 55.3 miles to go. Airspeed coming back up to 420, setting my 92% or so. Timing, this is a long leg. We should be on time at our next waypoint. We're looking for the silos on the airfield at 39 and 37. So we've got just under 8 minutes with nothing to do apart from fly accurately. Check our RWR from time to time. Check our fuel. 7800. Check our wingman's position. Get in there, Dusty, come on. And off we go. So we're talking about formation actually along this leg. I'll talk about it briefly now. Ideally what we would like, what I'd love to see us doing is flying what the RAF would call battle formation. It's a fairly standard formation among NATO, and the wingman would be line abreast, so he'd be beam me, parallel track. So he'd be aiming just slightly left of the waypoint as set. Same speed as me, and he wants to be a distance out such that I can defend anything that's threatening him and he can defend what's threatening me. We've got 9 Limas on board, so he wants to be a couple of miles away. He doesn't want to be so far away that we can't see each other, and he doesn't want to be so close that he can't turn in and shoot somebody off my tail if someone's threatening me, or give the ability for someone to threaten both of us. So a couple of miles away, so I can see him start to break out his shape, but probably not much more than that. That means whenever we come to the turns, there's going to have to be a delay between us turning. If he was on my left, we're turning 90 right, he would turn first, and then turn Q for a 90 is when he's passing through my 5 o'clock, I would make a turn. So that takes about 20 seconds. So 20 seconds before I'm due to turn, he would turn, and then I'd turn 90. So that's the kind of formation that it would be nice to work towards. It does make life a little bit more difficult for the wingmen and for navigation and staying visual. It's something you definitely have to work hard at, but it gives you far more options if you're defensive, if you're threatened, or even if you're offensive on anybody as well. So offensively flying on intercept, you would want the wingman to be out there 2 miles away, probably with a height split if you're up at medium level as well. Right, just a reminder then, we're running in towards silos. We've got 39:37, so a good 5 minutes. So I'll join you as we run up towards that turn. Hopefully this turn will be close to being on time. Okay, so welcome back. So just a reminder, 39:37, we're looking to be turning on that time. Ideally we'll be over the top of the silos, just on the far side of the airfield. Have had a 6 pop up, so we are keeping our height low. That'll be something to think about as we're running towards the target. It's off to the west-northwest of the target somewhere. So I'll talk about the target run after we finish this turn. We're again going to make this turn on time, and we'll just make a note of if we're early or late. But we should be fairly close if our techniques worked correctly. We should be pretty close if I've measured it correctly. Should be just over this ridge line. I think it's Argentine I picked. Yeah, there's the silos just the other side. Stick line next waypoint. 6:37, we're spot on time. So that works. Okay, your heading set for the next one. 299. Heading 20.4 miles to run, airspeed coming back up to 420, setting 92 or thereabouts. The time, this is a short leg, it's only a 19-mile leg, so we're looking for a road river bridge, which is the last 90 to correct any timing errors. That's at 42.58. So we're talking now about our attack, so I'm going to pitch to the right just because I've had that 6 pop up once already. So that's going to be action at 5 miles. We're going to pull up 20 degrees, nose up 3.9, go full power in the Harrier. 4,600 feet is when we start to roll to apex at 53 or thereabouts. I'm just going to come around to the left of this high ground. And then we're pulling down towards our target. Just a reminder, our target, we're looking for a bit of land between a load of bridges, and there is tree cover in there. Now we're looking for troops among the trees, so we might get some hot spots. Single pass, we've got master arm set, we've got air to ground, we've got our bomb selected, CCIP delivery, primary fuse. Once we get past this turn, I'm not really worried about timing. I'll check it, but as long as we're going to be in our tier 2 bracket, at that point that is going to be good enough. We're talking about visual separation with wingmen. If we were talking about instrument separation, so going beyond 30 seconds, then we all want to be accurate on time right up to the target point to make sure other wingmen don't fly into your bombs. But for a visual split, which I think is what we'll aim for on this TLP exercise, I'd like to get you guys up to running in as a 4-ship, splitting as a 4-ship for a visual split with all the individual attacks on the target with some sort of separation between you. So that's my aim. Right, so Red River Bridge is 42.58. I'm going to take whatever terrain masking I can get here, because of the SA6, as I say, he's already shown some interest. Right, there's my waypoint, 42.58 is when I want to be there. Sucked into my next, waypoint 5, that's the IP. And I'm going to make this turn on time. So we've made a little bit of time there. Turning on 58. Turning. I don't want to balloon in these turns because of that SAM. Last thing I need is to be worrying about a SAM running in towards a target. Well, let's get 420. Heading's good, waypoint 5. I want to be through the IP at 44.33. And it's a bend in the river, so it's going to be a late spot. So 44.33. I'm looking for a 5-mile action. Right, I'm a little bit early. I am 20 seconds early. I'm going to take that, sucked into my target point. Expecting to be 20 seconds early. 5-mile action, kicking out 30 right, 3.9 pitch up, 4,600 feet. Roll, dive in left towards the target. My target is land between the bridges with troops. I can see Caen railway station already.
Pull up.
5 miles, 033, 063, 06, that's good enough. Looking for 3.9, 3.9 full power, 20 degrees nose up, hold it. Got the target area. Looking for 4,600. No sign of the 6 yet. Looking for 46. There's the 6 has come alive. 46. In towards my target. It's this tree area. Tree lined area here. Target mark's on it. Target mark's good. 6 is interested. Can't see a launch. Running in towards my target. Okay, there's all sorts of ground fire there. Coming off to the right.
Pull up, pull up. Pull up, pull up.
Let's put out some chaff and flares just in case. And we'll come off target and run towards our next waypoint. So waypoint 7 we've got set. Let's come back on the power so we don't cook the engine. Not worried about timing, coming back to 420. SA6 spotter still there. taking a bit more chaff out. Still there, looking for valleys. We're just pushing into this little bit of low ground, so this will have to do us. We do have a ridge line coming up, starting to fade, and it's dropped us. Feels good at 5300, running back home. Let's come back to something sensible, come back to 420. We're going to regroup, think about where our wingman is. 6 is still there, stayed at the low ground. Alright, so that's the TOT. I didn't make a note of exactly what time I released the bombs. I'll have to look at that on the video when I make it. We were a little bit early. That's probably to do with my measurement timings, timing calculation somewhere there. But we were certainly in our bracket. And close enough, considering we started. We were 35 seconds off at the entry point. So if you got those 90s planned, it makes life much simpler for saving time. If you didn't want to use that, just look at the bottom of the kneeboard. The other option is you can adjust your speed. And if you want to save a minute, if you're doing 420 knots, 7 miles a minute, you would increase your speed by 1 mile a minute and hold it by 7 minutes, and that would save you a minute. So 480 knots for 7 minutes will save you 1 minute. Obviously half that time, 3.5 minutes, would save you 30 seconds. But at 7 minutes you're going to run at a much higher throttle setting with much higher fuel burn, and then adjust it back again while your wingman's trying to stay in formation with you and you're trying to coordinate with everything. So if you can fly at constant speed, it makes my life much easier for the guys flying on your wing, because you're not moving the throttle all the time. I'm moving my throttle by 0.5% or 0.1% there until I get into the turns, and then I'm adjusting it back again when I come out of the turn. So using geometry to sort your timing makes their life much easier to stay with you, which then means you're in a better state when you get to the initial point, which then means when we come to thinking about what we do as a pair to hit the target or as a 4-ship to hit the target, it makes it much easier to fly that if you're not arriving all as individual singletons 20 seconds apart or 57 seconds apart or whatever it's going to be. So that's why I would commend you to try and use that method. I don't think we'll introduce time on target for a little while yet, but I'd be keen to start thinking about it. I think everybody's up for it, or up to it, despite your best thoughts. So yeah, so I'll see you again once we get on the recovery back towards Caen Air Base, and I'll land this Harrier. Okay, so welcome back. So there's our recovery point just to our north there, and heading back towards Caen. We're at 2,000 feet, coming back towards 420 knots. Got my course bar set up, using the tack end for navigation now, and we'll route ourselves around to line up on runway 14. Just talk about Harrier. If you haven't got the Harrier, it is an excellent module. I really enjoy it. It's easily one of my favourites. It does have a few bugs. They are really good at fixing it, to be honest. Once bugs are reported to them, guys at Razbam, they're not as quick as they used to be, simply because their main effort the past few months has been on the Strike Eagle as a new release, but they do fix stuff quite regularly. They've got quite a large team now, and different teams for each of the aircraft. So the radar guy does a lot of the coding He is obviously mega busy on the Strike Eagle with everything that's coming on the next patch on that one. But it's an excellent module. It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun with the T-pod. It's a lot of fun without the T-pod. You can get into a lot of depth with the navigation stuff, really use it, or you can just fly it. Looking out the window and delivering dumb weapons using the HUD. It's very interesting in the circuit. You can fly lots of different approaches with it, as well as vertical landings, obviously, and takeoffs and off a small carrier. So it's one I'd recommend if you've got it and you haven't used it in a long time. In a few years, it will have changed a lot since you last used it. If you haven't got it, then it's definitely one to put on your list to pick up in its seal, and then give it a go. If you want any help with it, happy to help. What we'll fly here, we've got 2,700. We've still got our tanks on and sidewinders, so we're probably a bit heavy for a vertical landing. So we'll try and do a fixed nozzle approach, slow speed landing. We'll set the nozzles to 50 or 60. We'll see what we can get. Probably get away with 60 at this weight. That'll give us a fairly slow approach. Try and put it down in the numbers and then turn off by the first taxiway if we can. 270 foot elevation here, so we'll fly our circuits. We'll be at 1,300 feet on the Barrow. We're carrying water, but I don't think we'll need it, so I'm not going to plan to use it here. On the brake then, climbing up to 1,300. Okay, Blue P35 gear travels. Still with flaps are going to travel. They're going to make us balloon. Going to go to freestyle mode. And I'm going to set my nozzles initially to 50. Turning in, we're going to get slow, so I don't really want to extend it too far. And basically what I'm looking for here, I'm looking at my AOA on the left side of the HUD. So there's that double caret is 10. That's where I kind of want to hold it. I'm looking at my the little witch's hat symbol is where the nose is actually pointing. The underground symbol is giving you representation of my rate of descent. So I'm flying a sort of 3-degree rate of descent at the moment, which is fine coming around finals. I'm going to put my nozzle to 60. I'm going to increase my AOA, so just trim back slightly, and then as I decelerate, what we'll find is we have a mix of wing-borne lift and engine-borne lift. And as we get slower, our wings produce left lift, so we need our engines to produce more. This is actually fine for a touchdown point. And we're aiming for a touchdown point just to beam the taxiway we join it at.
Altitude, 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 altitude.
Alright, once I land, nozzle, full aft, and then I can use power, and we can brake against the, we can use braking nozzle. Slow ourselves down. There you go, flaps back to auto, 10 degrees nozzle, just so we don't roast the flaps.
Uzi 1-1, taxi to parking area.
Okay, seat safe.
Caution. Caution.
Okay, so that's 2 T's. So part of it comes down to the planning. That's just a case of measuring it on the map. I'm making a nav card up that makes sense. And then once you're in the air, plan ahead. You've got all sorts of nav kit in these aircraft. I've not done the sums for the vegan, for the kilometres and city speeds that it flies at. But it's going to be exactly the same thing. You're going to want to work that out. And then set a power, fly power to fly your planned speed. If there's any questions, pop them in the comments. I don't see a point in making this Ms available, but if you do want it, let me know and I can pass it to you. It's the same as the previous one. I just added the nav card to it with the timings on it. But if you do want it, let me know and I'll pass it to you.
Caution.
Alright, take care. I hope this was useful. If it's just raised lots of questions, I'll make another one. Cheers, guys.